Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew in a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Blitz, Bama, Blitz.
Welcome again to another recording of the Weekly Joe podcast. I'm Paul Graham. We have with us tonight Meghan Dennis from the Conway, South Carolina office, Griff and Smith out in Texas, where Alabama just had a reign of terror over the weekend. He's left in the rubble. And Roger Myers back from overnight drive, like the Cannonball Run, coming back from College Station to Tuscaloosa. Post-game, it went all night long, which I've done that drive kind of before from Huntsville. We talked about it a little bit today. Is not much between here and there, is there?
No, there's not. I was planning on about halfway, maybe Shreveport. I felt good. And then Monroe, I felt good. And then I hit Vicksburg, and I was like, hell, just one more state to go. Let's just keep going. So it was about 10. I stopped at 2 or 3 times for gas and coffee, but about 11 hours probably.
10 or 11, yeah. About that. We used to do Huntsville in 10 to 11 to Birmingham. So, and I think College Station is another hour from there. By the way, appreciate Campland, Peter Slight, and they're doing our theme song for us. Great, always good to hear that, bringing us in every week. We're here to talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide baseball team, off to a 20-1 start. Huge week, just completed a 4-0 week, including a sweep of the defending national runner-up, I guess that's what we'll call them, the A&M Aggies at their home yard at Bluebell Park over the weekend, capped by a stellar pitching performance yesterday by Bobby Alcock. So we'll talk about that a little bit. First of all, the midweek game as it is shaped up. It's a tough midweek schedule for Alabama, and this game was no different on Tuesday. Your thoughts on UAB, Meghan?
Well, I'm going to complain about ESPN and the coverage that they had, because I think I spent more time watching the technical difficulties side than I did actually of the game. But, the UAB, it doesn't matter how good or bad they might be, getting to go up there, that's a tough game every year. So getting that win is important, because we've seen the opposite occur very easily in years past. So, boys went in, did their job, wasn't an easy game, and did everything they needed to.
Yeah, definitely had some tough games with them there. They beat us at the Joe. I guess it was last year they beat us at the Joe, didn't they? In one of the midweek games. And was it last year or the year before? I know we lost.
We got swept. Year before, I think we lost to them.
We had a 4-3 game to them.
4-3, yeah. But definitely have lost our share to them. In fact, took a sweep. Casey definitely has Casey Dunn, by the way, the head coach of UAB, is there now for a handful of years after coming over from Sanford. Definitely has that program moving in the right direction. Some good looking arms out there, good looking bats. Had us maybe reeling there in the middle innings. The pitching, the bullpen was a little shaky there around the what inning was that? Was that the sixth?
Fifth and sixth kind of.
Yeah. And it took a pretty heroic effort in the ninth after it felt like our bats had kind of gone to sleep after a 3 or 4 inning hiatus. But the interesting thing about this game, Griff, is offensively we're pounding out hits. We're having a hard time converting the runs.
Yeah, we think it was another. I'll have to look. Yeah, another 15-hit night. I mean, we were putting it all over the place, and I know in our text thread we were all basically saying, don't hit it to center field, because that kid's going to catch it, or he's going to climb over the wall and basically catch it. So I wasn't annoyed that we weren't plating more runs. It was just waiting for that hit to finally come through, and then thank goodness in the ninth we hit those back-to-back homers, and it gave us, at least it gave me enough breathing room to feel like, okay, we can have our guy shut it down and get out of there with the win.
Poppy Jason Torres takes one up the berm in center field, far enough out. We can't go without calling his name. Logan Braunschweig, I think is how we say his name, Braunschweig. I believe I played at Briarwood here in Birmingham, and but he was the center fielder. Made three, two just risk your life, slam into the wall type catches. The one off Mizell, which I couldn't find the video on, we maybe could clip it from the actual game, I thought was probably better than the one off LeBron,
Right.
because it was hit on a line. He didn't have time to get under it.
Yeah. And then he did crash into the wall pretty hard as well.
Yeah. And he had another earlier. It was a, really, really good catch. So, I mean, were it not for him.
Oh yeah. Cade Snell hit one out there that he,
were it not for his glove, this game would have probably been a whole lot different, and we wouldn't have had to have the late inning heroics where, like I said, we got the home run from Poppy, and then right behind him, pretty soon after that, I guess you got one from Snell to follow it after Bryce Fowler had hit one a little bit earlier. Pounding out a lot of hits, drawing a lot of walks, getting on base, and just couldn't piece them together well enough to get the big inning. And I think that's the thing UAB managed to avoid was just avoiding that big inning. They used 1, 2, 3. They used 5 pitchers. Braxton Shelton was their starter, who we've seen in these games before. Goes about half the game. We ended up using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. I guess 8 pitchers, and like you mentioned, that 5th and 6th inning lull where we kind of hit the wall. Talk about the job, Roger, that Aiden Finateri did coming in to really calm that game down for us.
Finateri, he was really key when he came in the 6th to get didn't even throw a pitch, just pick the guy off
pick him off, right.
And then he had good inning and 2/3. And when he gave up that little infield dribbler, we went to Bo Bryan's, and he got, after a walk, got an out, and then of course we had to bring in the Wizard to close it down in the 9th.
Yeah,
we probably weren't planning on having to use maybe for a bullpen or something, but I don't think it was. He did it very quickly, so it didn't really affect him. Maybe 10 pitches.
10, real quick. But better than this 50-something he threw in the game the other night, which he practically had a start under his belt. JT Blackwell, I thought did a good job. Just and you're gonna have a little bit of a shorter leash, Meghan, with a guy midweek like that. I mean, 48 pitches, and as soon as you start seeing a little chink in the armor, you go to the pen. Did we go too soon on that one?
I mean, I guess it's hard to say. I think we definitely use more guys than maybe we planned to use. So, do you leave JT out there longer? I think we could have. But, at the same time, we've also seen where we left guys out too long and it's gone real sideways real fast. So
exactly. Ohio State, for instance, maybe it was one. He yields to Tate Robertson, Aiden Mosa, Colson Buchanan, Connor Ball. Nobody quite had it going. I mean, it was just a mix of guys that just had a rough night all around. And then Finateri comes in. I think his 3rd appearance on the year. And recall, I mean, Aiden was a starter at Georgia Tech, through a lot of innings for them. His only problem there, just kind of looking back, was keeping the ball in the ballpark. And guys hitting the ball in the ballpark, and he managed to keep it in play. Only gave up a couple of hits, struck out a couple of guys. Like I said, calm that game down because it had a real chance of getting sideways. And then we get to the 9th, and the ball starts flying out of the park, and we ice that win down. Good win for us. I mean, it's I think we keep going back to the mindset of this team. Really had a bad day Sunday, so you barely had a 48-hour turnaround for this. This was Tuesday night, and you really saw no lingering effects of it at all, did you, Roger?
Yes. Yeah. But as you said earlier, though, the dude's not in center field. I mean, we've scored 10 runs, and it's, and we're not on edge. And going back to JT real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 and 2/3, in less than 50 pitches. I thought might be okay. We may need him this weekend
That yeah,
to get on. I really thought he might. If Bobby had struggled or whatever on Sunday,
right.
But I mean,
Who thought that was going to happen?
Right. I mean, or at some point during the weekend that he might be needed. And fortunately, all the starters, had nice long outings, and he didn't. But I thought he had given up an infield single, and then just he got pulled after a 2-out walk. He never struggled.
No.
So.
Yeah, still had something in the tank. I mean, that's good to see.
But probably wanted, it's like, hey, we got to get some guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many guys that it's hard to get in. It's hard to get innings for.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we saw this weekend, if you get starting pitching like that, even fewer guys are going to get, it's just hard to spread it around when you're talking, 6, 7, I mean, you got 2 to spare on Sunday. I guess Riley went into the 6th. Did he go into the 6th?
No, he just did 5 complete. 5 complete.
And so, I mean, 4 there, and then Adams went into the 5th or 6th. So you just don't have a lot of innings. 10 innings is spread around a dozen or more guys at that point that you're dealing with. So yeah, definitely a night to get guys work. We'll see UAB later. They'll come to the Joe. I don't have the date in front of me. I think it's sometime in April, but. Good to get that one under our belt. That one's always a little bit of a dicey game. It's no matter what time of the year we play it, no matter what happened the weekend before, if it was an SEC series, they tend to play us tough, and you get a lot of pitching changes, and you just never get a rhythm. So not a great rhythm game, but good for our team's mindset to rebound that quickly after the loss on Sunday to Presbyterian. All right, let's get to the weekend. So we go into Friday. Roger, you were there. Windy, hail, real bad weather.
The hail was later at night. I mean, during the day it was windy. It was not, terrible weather. I mean, we've played in much worse than what it was.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
It was pleasant, to start, and then that, as I was telling you earlier, a bunch of the parent bench people's cars got pretty much destroyed by hail on Friday night, which I never really knew came through. They said it happened around 3 a.m. But several of the Alabama faithful had their cars totaled from apparently baseball size or better hail. Like Mizell's rental car had
it's big
size,
big chunks.
Dimples all
baseball
over
size,
over the front. Yeah. But the game, I don't think the wind was blowing it out like it was the next day, which was strange because it was much lower scoring up until the end. But full house, a lot of weirdness going on, a lot of strange customs, and it's I don't know. There's people bringing in those little fold up wagons, pulling them in with their props, like different props that they bring. Their bubble guns and bubbles, and they
are the weird stepchild. We didn't want them in the SEC to begin with. They're still here, and it's like you got to see them at the family reunion. And I'm like, great, I don't have to see them the rest. They're probably obviously going to be there in Hoover, but yeah, they're weird.
It's just like baby bottles and elephants with ropes tied around their necks, and just all kind of props like a play or something. And and they go up to the gate and they look through their wagon, it's like,
check it out. Yeah.
And they like, okay, go ahead. And it's not the young. I mean, it's like all ages.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's not students, just students. And they stuck us down the right field line on the metal bleachers, the farthest away. And then the next section is student and general admission. And they jam them in there, and they just stomping on I don't know if y'all could hear it. They're just stomping on those bleachers and singing. And then they do the swag surf with the song and and then the train goes by, and everybody, but they hear the train coming. They hold up how many ever fingers they think engines it's going to be, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And if they get it right, whoever gets it right, they just go nuts. And there's probably 15 trains a game that go by there.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like to me, and I mean, I haven't been to games there, but I've obviously watched a lot of it doesn't feel like a very intimidating environment because of all because you just get a feel for, like you said, it's kind of whimsical, a little weird, right?
Right. They have their little routine. I mean, it's like, if this happens, we're going to say this. If this happens, we say this. When this happens, we do this.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, I've been twice in the last 3 years now, and we're 5-1 in those 2 years. And I think we got them out there.
We swept them in 21.
And we got them in 21 out there. So that's 8-1.
Yeah.
And we got them 2 out of 3 here last year. I mean, like, so we kind of own them. Oh, and Meghan would have really been upset with this. So they're supposedly this big baseball school and have all this baseball knowledge. The most unaware fans of baseball etiquette I've ever seen in my life. They don't get up between innings. They wait until the first pitch goes of the inning. And they're walking and standing in front of you, turning around and waiting on the next people. And I don't stand for that very well.
No.
I was on the end seat, and I mean, I told Kate and Collins to go sit down at the jug one day. So I didn't have any problem telling grandma or little girl, like, "Hey, you got to go." And Mark Mizell was laughing at me the whole time. I mean, but it's just constant.
It's yeah.
And
but like I said, it doesn't feel intimidating.
No, it's not. It's like you said, whimsical is probably a good way to. And maybe if they're I mean,
but they're not playing like LSU. They're not playing like
that's right. Yeah,
I mean,
Florida. So it's a bit of a tchotchke sideshow, which is why I call it
they think it's. I mean, they think it's really special. I mean,
yeah.
And and the stadium's not super nice.
I think that's part of why. That's part of why Slosh left. I mean, I think.
And I found out it holds less than 7,000.
Yeah,
because it's it doesn't go around a lot. The main seating area.
Right.
I mean, we're listed at like 6,500. I think when their guys
pretty close to that.
They're listed at like 6,800 maybe. And I mean, I don't know that counts our outfield. Our students.
It doesn't count the students,
which we could get.
And that's 1,300 capacity.
13 out there.
Yeah, Friday night it said that the total attendance was 6,917. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
they were on spring break, but still there was a whole lot of students there. But they have 78,000 students.
Big night on the bats for us, or at least for the long ball. I mean, we only eked out 8 hits, but 4 of them left the yard. I mean, that was the key there. We get homers from Fowler. Actually, Hodo hit one early on, number 5 for him. We took a 2-0 lead after 2 innings. They tied it, and then Fowler launches another one to give us a 4-2 lead, kind of halfway through the game. So we're going into the later innings here, and as we're up 4-2, they squeeze out a run in the 6th. They squeeze out a run in the 8th, and I think. I was kind of doom tweeting like I do at times, where I made that point. Like I did, I think it was last year, the LSU game. It's like, man, I don't know if 4 runs is going to win this game, but I think we're about to find out, because it didn't feel like we were going to get it back together after we got 5 in this, 2 in the 5th. We go through the 6th, 7th, and 8th with hardly a scratch, and then the 9th rolls around. And Meghan, what happened there?
It's just Cade Snell, our captain guy.
Yep.
The 2nd and 9th inning magic of the
exactly.
Yep. I mean, we did that with 2 outs, 2 quick outs.
2 quick
out in a grounder, and then boom.
Yeah, a little concern there. LeBron had come out of the game in the 8th, and I'm sorry, came out in I think he came out.
Bottom of the 8th, JYJ.
Bottom of the 8th after striking out. You had Texas, JYJ's in the game, and we said, saw him in there. You were like, he got called out on strikes. I was like, did he get ejected or something? Come to find out later.
I was watching. I was videoing, of course, and I was watching him, and I mean, he kind of, and then just started walking. He didn't say anything. You couldn't see him say anything. He didn't reach back over his shoulder, and the umpire never reacted. So it's like, okay, he didn't get ejected.
No.
His parents were sitting right behind me. Chloe, his girlfriend, was there, and they were like, I was like, there you go.
What's up? Yeah.
And Chloe did say that, he had not felt well all day.
Felt well. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, something lingering that actually lasted throughout the weekend. But
yeah, fortunately, was able to play through the weekend.
right.
Norton hits just an absolute bomb to right field, towering bomb. Roger Hoover's got a great call of that. If you go find it,
I
we all
love
retweeted
the
it.
rock back with,
The right back, yeah.
when Roger when he does the home run
Instant
guy.
reaction. He's got a great call of that, and they've got it dubbed in on both of them, kind of doubled up as Norton and Snell go back to back. So we take a 6-4 lead. Osmer's in, and like you said, like you'd said earlier, he goes into there's a 48 pitch 2 2/3 inning outing to get. I guess he technically got the win. If
He got the win, yeah.
Yeah.
So Zane Adams, we had they were kind of easing Zane in a little bit early on and kind of got his pitch count up a couple of times. He'd had an outing or two that I won't call them shaky. They just weren't great. He didn't have his great stuff, but I mean, you could tell he was still working on things, working on a little more on his breaking balls and his changeup that he's developed. But he had it dialed in on this Friday night, right, Griff?
Yeah, he was looking just like the Friday Night Ace that we've seen up to this point, and I think I had mentioned it in the text thread that a little bit of damage here and there, but I mean that's everything you could have wanted out of your Friday Night Ace, especially on the road. Obviously, starting league play, still very very bright season for him on the mound. It's going to be fun to watch him pitch. Obviously, this weekend is going to be huge at home, but yeah, this Friday night was a lot of fun.
Yeah, real cool for him. Grew up hour or so from there. If you know where Porter is, kind of outside of Houston. This is all kind of outside of Houston too. He goes 5 2/3, gives up 7 hits, spreads them. Gave up 3 runs, only 1 earned. Struck out 4, only walked 1. So a good mix of 7 flyouts, 6 ground outs. He got up to 93 pitches. Didn't look like he was completely gassed. I mean, you don't want to go throw a guy 110 in the first week of the season, but I mean, you feel like he's got it in him. Heiberger comes in and gives up a couple of hits, but strikes out a couple of guys and gets through 2/3. And then Osmer held on, man. It was it never. This game was never overly comfortable, and you're thinking that Meghan of all the implications. I mean, are you like me? Like this game is going on, it's like, oh man, this is great. We're up. This is cool. We're gonna get the first win, and then we're tied. And it's like, oh my god, they're gonna come back and win in the ninth, and we're gonna, then you're thinking ahead to the weekend. Does that kind of go through your mind? And did you ever feel real comfortable this day?
No, and honestly, I don't know if I felt comfortable through the whole weekend, where it's
No.
just kind of one where it always kind of feels like, okay, I've seen the script play out. I know what's coming. Like waiting for that other shoe to drop, and thankfully it never did this weekend.
Right.
I told somebody there that like we've been through too many years of this, seeing like this same scenario play out, and it's like
Exactly.
it bites us in the end, particularly on the road.
Exactly. Yeah. The thing I think that maybe aided us a little bit here was the aside from them leaving a lot of guys on base. I mean, it was kind of on there. She was on there for they out hit us 11-8 in this game, but was the bullpen management. I thought Luke Jackson was just untouchable on this night. Now he came back Sunday, I guess.
Gave up the ground, yeah,
and was touchable, but on this particular night, he just wasn't. And I don't know what they were thinking there. Just I think they got too cute playing the odds. And I mean, what'd you sense there, Roger?
Early out thought himself. I mean, he just and all their fans were doing the same thing. What are we doing? And it was like, I mean, Jackson 4 up, 4 down, 2 Ks, couldn't touch him, 96, 97. He brings in the lefty for Hodo, grounds out, pulls him, brings in the other guy. Within 2 pitches, he's given up 200. Well, threw a ball, and then the next 2 pitches go out of the park for home runs.
Yeah.
And then a single, and it's like, it was just like, what, and their fans are pretty down on the coach.
I was going to say, I was going to ask, I mean, I know you probably would get a sense of, I get a little feel from the baseball media or the website guys and the the podcast guys. It doesn't feel like maybe they got a little buyer's remorse. I mean, and tell me where this has happened before, where the team basically picks the coach and it doesn't work out well. You remember
Mike Dubose.
1997?
Mike
Yeah.
Dubose. Yeah, I've been thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And then early being one of Rob's buddies, and
Yeah.
and then his dad playing there, and Rob wanting to go there. I know this was, and being from Texas, of course, it was. I think that was a little extra special weekend for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get that win with the bombs in late. Carson Osborne makes a great play on a double play ball to kind of get us out of a jam. There, a couple of guys on base.
Interesting story.
Yep.
Story there. That of course he hit the first batter Lavallee, so 2 on and no outs, and we're up. We're only up 6-4.
Yeah.
So Hensler comes to bat, who happened to be Carson's roommate for 3 years, best friend at University of Penn, and he got to face him twice and got him both times. And that little liner back to the mound, it really wasn't hard hit. It was like Carson said, it was like it just had real weird English on it, because like Osmer got kind of like spun around when he got it, and because he almost looked like he might, he's going to try to get a
jammed a little.
I mean, a triple play there would have been incredible. If it had been hit a little harder, he might have been able to. But anyway, that was, and they went out to dinner. The families all went out to dinner together after the game.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah. Very cool. Game 2, almost a mirror image. I mean, almost the same thing. You get a strong starting outing again from this time it's Riley Quick on we got 2 Friday guys. I mean, face it, there's two. Hell, we might have 3 based on what we saw Sunday. Quick goes out there 5 innings, gives up 1 hit, walks 2 guys, strikes out 6. 5 innings for him and 86 pitches, very efficient for him. I mean, he's normally a strikeout pitcher. I get the sense he's doing a little more pitching than throwing as he's kind of getting into this. And I think the really pleasing thing I see about him is at 86 pitches and 5 innings, man, that guy's still strong as an ox. And that, you don't see there's no fatigue out there, man. He could keep
going back to even last year, you'd have Ben Hess out there, and every other pitch is like tennis match. He's just laboring out there. And I did not get the sense that Riley is feeling that at all. So yeah, he's
he said he could have kept going. And
absolutely.
That's what it looked like.
Tell.
He says he thinks ramp up to like 95 this week, and he's really, really close to just like go as long as you can go.
Yeah.
Situation.
Yeah. He's a workhorse, and big strong guy. But I mean, think about it, that's his first SEC start, I believe. I don't think he started any as a freshman. So I mean,
you're correct. That's right.
Bullpen guys. I mean, his first SEC start, just like Bobby on Sunday. Hagan Banks in relief. Struggled a little bit with walks, but managed to kind of work around it. Gave up 1 earned. Fay gives up an earned run in 2 innings. Thought we might have. I kind of expected we might see Fay turn around, go again on Sunday, because you didn't expect Alcott to go 7 innings, and you just managed to get to the finish with him and just Myers, and then Heiberger mops it up on the end. But this kind of very similar game to Sunday, in that we stake ourselves to a lead. We're up 2-0. They chip away. It's 2-2 in the 8th, and then we get to the 9th. And Meghan, you're watching this from the Carolinas. Did you jump out of your chair like I did when Hodo hit the bomb?
I was on the phone with somebody, and then just like jumped up and started yelling. They were like, "What's happening?" And I was like,
And again, Lavallee takes 3 runs away on that catch on JT on Torres
center field.
Ball.
Yep,
that's a base clearing double at worst. I mean, if it rolls away, he could easily a triple.
He didn't do a lot with the bat this weekend, but man, he showed you some glove out there. As he looks like a guy that'll be a first baseman. He's just left-handed. He's tall. You expect him to be a
like
center fielder.
6'5", 240, and can run. I mean, he's just like tight end like. I mean, and with the trouble they were having in right field, he was cheating a lot. I mean, it was kind of like
with the wind,
like we just say with Braun, like go get it. No matter where it is, it was kind of the same situation with him.
On Friday, we didn't mention on Friday, Ryan Prager, of course, is another guy at A&M, a lefty, started a bunch of games for them. Pitched a really good game. Justin Lampkin on Saturday throws a really good game. It goes 5 innings. Didn't match Riley necessarily, but he struck out more. He struck more of our guys out. But between the two of them, I mean, that's two premium SEC arms right there. And then they kind of hit the right buttons in the bullpen this time, and then they get to the ninth, and we do finally get to Caden Wilson and Duluth Jackson too. And Hodo just blasts that ball. I mean, it was kind of it was, I don't know, man. You got two of those this year so far. You got the Ohio State game. You got this game. This one's probably a lot more meaningful. Early on, just the significance of winning that one after being so far behind and what it meant to you earlier in the season. Which one's your favorite of those two guys?
It's hard not to say that it wasn't Saturdays. I mean, you win the first series, it guarantees you the series win. But then it also, in my mind, also validates, as we've been saying, the team it travels. Everything we've been doing, the pitching travels, the hitting travels. Obviously, the defense looked pretty good this weekend. So that was, I was with Meghan. I freaked out for a minute. My wife's reading a book, and she's like, "What the hell was that?" I'm like, "We didn't win, but like I'm pretty confident that put us over the edge for the night." So yeah.
Two errors on the weekend for us. I mean, they were kicking it all over the yard. In fact, on this particular day, I mean, I think the errors really cost them.
That poor second baseman.
Oh yeah.
And then the right fielder was struggling. He was listed as a utility guy. I mean, they've got some pretty key injuries.
You got a lot of injuries. You're right.
So there's guys out of place, and nobody in the freshman Kill. He was the only one that really scared me all weekend. Lavallee in the back of my mind is like, he's going to bust out. He's going to hit one over the train tracks. At some point, it's going to come. But he's hitting 240 with 5 home runs, and good Lord, what did he do last year?
Yeah.
But then you look, he had, I think he led off, and he had Gravak, who's out hurt, third base. Grahovic.
Yeah.
He's out, and Brady Montgomery's with the Red Sox. I mean, it's like that's some studs you've lost. And then
I think they said on the broadcast that they have either 3 or 4 returning players in their lineup, and outside of that, it's all changed.
It's all new transfer guys. So
it's and I know they've got a bunch of guys injured. Based on what we saw this weekend, I don't know. I mean, I know we just talked about that their fans are reeling. They may want to change, but
they got the pitching to be
they
good.
Do. Yeah. It'll keep
those were 3 legit. I thought Lampkin was the best.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, in the middle game.
Brian got him on that Oppo home run, and that was all he gave up.
Yeah, it really was. Patton on Sunday though. I mean, even as their third guy is I mean you might could make a case his was as good or better, but
right.
The duel on Sunday was something else. And as we kind of transition into that, what can you say about Bobby Alcock? There were people on this podcast last week who even brought it up as a topic about, how do you think this is going to go? What do you do if if it doesn't pan out? I mean, I can't believe those people would have been bringing that up. And I mean, to give those people, little credit or I mean, you don't know what you're going to get, right? First SEC start. You really hadn't extended a guy that long. It's Sunday. Sundays are always a little different. I tweeted out several of the scores from Sunday yesterday. I mean, you got 17-10 games and 18-14 games. I mean, that's just kind of what Sunday is. But man, if we can get that on Sunday, I'll take it.
Yeah, I was glad to see he was pitcher of the week. Obviously, not having pitched last year due to injury, and then coming back and doing his thing. It was special, and he kept going. I know at one point we're like, is he coming back out? I know Roger texted us. He's like, he's back out. Brandon's warming up, but he's coming out again. So it was unreal.
I mean, I don't imagine he saw atmospheres or crowds like that at Gardner Webb either.
No, exactly.
And he was very good there. I mean, I think we're starting, with the injury that he had that's kept him out so long, maybe we're just seeing him rounding in the form. And it could be everybody's velo was up. compared to other places we've been. And I don't know if that's
Yep.
their radar guns or because we've been saying, well,
Zane.
Zane went 90, he hadn't been 94, 95 like he was in the fall.
No.
Well, he was 94, 93, 95. Riley hit 100 once. And I mean, he was his same 97, 99, but Braylon was 93 a couple of times, which we've seen, but we hadn't since the season started.
Exactly.
Oz was 92. I mean, it was just like, it seemed like it ticked up. Oh, Maddie was 94 and 95 a couple of times.
Wow. Yeah. In the game recap that I did for this particular game for Sunday, the clips that we pulled from the site, a couple of them are of these back foot sliders that Bobby's throwing to the left. He's like, lobby leg, he just whiffs at one. I can't remember who maybe was shot or one of the other ones. He gets them. I mean, he had the back foot slider working, and then he was changing eye levels. So I mean, he was really smart the way he pitched guys. It wasn't, it wasn't in the same spots. I mean, he gets guys to chase high. And then he run that fastball by you. I mean, if you're trying to hit that 83, 84 slider and he pops up 91, 92 on your hands, I mean, he was just a tough. I thought he was really crafty, but he was also showed a little power, right, Megan?
Yeah, folks on this podcast definitely had thoughts last weekend. And I will gladly say I'm glad to be wrong on that. Yeah. And that, I think to kind of what Roger was saying, maybe this is the return to form that we just haven't been lucky enough to see in an Alabama uniform until now. Yeah. And that this is going to be what we can expect going forward.
Right.
He was so efficient, Paul. I mean, he averaged 13 pitches an inning.
Yeah, 95 over 7 innings pitched. Just unreal. I don't have his ball strike split here, but I mean, he just didn't feel like he got a lot of 3-ball counts, or if he did, he worked back from it. He only walked 2. He struck out 8. 4 hits. Braylon Myers has just been solid all year long, and has made leaps from last year to this year. Like, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen a pitcher in our program do that.
Yeah, I thought he had the same sort of movement that Bobby had, where some of those sliders, especially in the ninth, like they were just falling off the table, and it was just
wipe out.
And to your point, I mean, I've seen glimpses of it, but not consistently. And 6 outs is not unreasonable to ask for a guy, but, and he totally knocked it out of the park. He just
could y'all hear?
I think for the weekend.
Could y'all hear the singing?
Oh yeah.
All right, so like they started with Bobby. Like they weren't singing it. Once they realized what his last name was, they kind of changed their what they were saying. But with Braylon, they were singing like they made it into a song. And I asked Braylon if he heard it. He goes, "Oh yeah." He said, his family said his girlfriend and his mom were going, "Yeah, I got songs in my head now." It's like he said he loved it. He was just laughing about it.
Here's a hot take on Braylon. I don't know that I've seen us have a relief pitcher go from year to year and make this kind of jump since maybe Chase Lee. Do you see a little parallel there maybe from when Chase kind of emerged for us?
Well, he just totally came out of nowhere, came off the intramural fields. But
and not that he wasn't.
That's kind of like a Drew comp, I guess. I think, but yeah, as far as improving year by year by year. I mean, he's just had a solid career, 4-year career.
He really has, yeah.
Just very quietly. I mean, it's I'm proud to call him my nephew.
Yep, there you go. He's nephew. He's been your nephew all year this year. So we get the sweep. Again, I think the strength of this team we thought was going to be the bullpen. We knew we had 2 Halses at starters, for Fridays and Saturdays. Alcock out of nowhere for us, just has this kind of a weekend. You always want 5+ innings out of your starters. We get that 3 straight days. We get 7 one day. We didn't have to even see half our bullpen this weekend. So just, again, hard to think of this weekend going any better than it did, aside from I still think, and I've put a lot of thoughts into some of these game recaps, and you can see those on our Twitter page at Weekly Joe Pod. And I think you see my comments a lot. I mean, it seems like we're still with some relievers or making mistakes with 2 strikes. We're ahead in counts, and we're letting guys do damage when we're ahead in count. The good news is we're ahead in counts. All right, we're not, you're not falling behind as much, but it does seem like there, a few guys are still kind of hanging it out there a little bit too good when we're ahead in counts, and that bears a little bit of watching because a team like Tennessee comes to town. They might get those big innings, whereas we avoided it all weekend long, and I think that's key to pitching, right? I mean, it's just guys in this league are going to hit you, but you just got to avoid those big innings. We talked a lot about the team mindset, how just mentally tough they look. The road woes. Somebody had the question about road woes last week. How do you fix that? And the key was just don't have your starters get hurt. Don't have a bunch of hurt starting pitchers. And so I think again you saw how we handled it this weekend. All right, some of these superlatives, because we've heard a bunch of these thrown around. This was our first series sweep since 23. The Ole Miss last weekend of the season at the Joe. We did sweep A&M there in 21. I think we figured this is the first sweep to start SEC play, or our first road weekend in the SEC since
opening road weekend.
2013 with Georgia. That's I think what we were trying to kind of say there. We had a home series that year first, and then we went on the road and we swept that road series. I think what the team in the game notes said was it was the first opening weekend SEC road sweep since 1973. Do we believe that? I think we're good on that one.
I trust our Nick, our SID extraordinaire. If he says it, then sure, I'll believe.
Since Mississippi State in 1973. You start okay. Everybody wants to be around the hot guy or the hot girls. All right, everybody's on us now. Big mover in the polls this week. You're seeing us generally in the 10, 12, 13. I mean, it just most. I think what's the 64?
64 analytics. I think.
64 analytics. Yeah. They're probably the biggest ball knowers this year, the best ball this week at with one of their standings. They have us in 6, but generally 10 to 12. We'll call it a top 10 series coming up here this weekend. Lots of media attention. I mean, you see a lot of the writers looking at Alabama. They're kind of the surprise team right now. You look around the rest of the college landscape. I don't know who that would be. You got another team maybe that is kind of jumped out like this. That, I mean, Florida State's doing what they're doing. Tennessee's doing what they're doing, but everybody expected it, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
Let's
see, Oklahoma,
yeah.
Just because I hadn't really thought about them.
Yeah,
I mean, ahead of the year, and I don't think they had a lot of preseason hype either.
No,
but it turns out those 3
pitchers,
their rotation's pretty good. It sounds
pretty solid. Yeah, Georgia with 2 losses. Again, I mean, Georgia kind of emerged last year, and you probably would have expected them to carry it over. Hard to believe they're doing it with kind of the way they're pitching in some of their games. But I think all this will kind of hit a crescendo as this week rolls on and Tennessee rolls into town Thursday. There going to be a lot of eyes on what happens in the Joe in Tuscaloosa. Let's talk a little bit before we get into Tennessee. South Alabama comes to town Tuesday night. They took it on the chin this weekend at Georgia Southern. They got swept. I think it was Georgia Southern. It may have been Georgia State.
Georgia State, because they lost.
State?
I caught the box scores. They lost a barn burner, 15-14 yesterday.
Yeah, I wrote GSU down. I think I had to think about it. Previously, last week they beat Ole Miss midweek, and they won 2 out of 3 the weekend before it with Louisiana Tech. So they're 10-9 on the season. They did get swept by UAB earlier in the year up here in Birmingham. So kind of a little bit of an up and down team, but I mean, you guys have seen South play us over the years and win games with us over the years, and it could be a tough battle.
This is the perfect trap game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Come off a sweep on the road, and then 2 days later you're bringing in the number 1 team. Yeah. I mean, it's typically over the years, this is one that we almost always drop. You know,
Right.
in the kind of in a similar situation.
Mhm.
You know, whether
Normally it's Middle Tennessee.
Like,
Yeah.
right. So, you know,
Yeah.
maybe we'll see some more about our mental toughness and
Yeah. We talk
you
about
know.
the mindset of this team and how they don't seem to even, they don't take a day off mentally, and they seem to always be in it. All right, so Tennessee comes to town. Tennessee consensus number one this week, I think, and
Thank
everywhere
goodness
you
for
look,
their poor fans that have been so
that's right.
decimated by not being ranked number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't see Florida State as much or get as much on them, but they're awfully good, obviously. Tennessee, to me, probably consensus best team out there this year, even though LSU was ranked one, probably with a tougher schedule. All right, but let's listen to here's their schedule so far. They had 3 with Hofstra, and they won all these, right? They're 21 or 22-0. UNC Asheville during the midweek. They had 3 with Samford at home. They beat UNA. They had a 3-gamer, kind of a round robin weekend with Oklahoma State. Rice, who is awful, just fired their coach, and before the conference season started, in Arizona. So 2 kind of marquee wins there, right? And then they've beaten midweek games with Radford, Xavier, a weekend series with St. Bonaventure. They beat West Georgia, and then they swept Florida. Okay, so let's give them credit. All right,
Right.
They've got a sweep over Florida. They've got the wins over Oak State and a win over Arizona. So again,
That's
they
4, or I actually just had it. Let me give them credit. They've got a total of 5 quad 1 and quad 2 games, so they're undefeated in those. But we've had 8, so we're playing a little bit harder competition to at least get out the gate. So.
Right. So again, I mean, they've been pounding teams and just beating the daylights out of them, and beat Florida this weekend 5-3, 10-0, and 7-4. So Florida gave them decent games as you would expect it. Here's what you're going to get. Last week it was lefty, right? It was, we were concerned about how are our lefties going to do, and they held up pretty damn well against all these left-handed arms. Their Friday guys, Liam Doyle, who's a lefty, is a junior. Actually threw against us last year at Ole Miss on Saturday. He was the Saturday starter that day. The game we ultimately lost, I think 10-9. He threw like 4 in the third inning last year in that game. So we've seen Liam Doyle before. The guys that are around.
That was before he was good, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he took off after that because they always. It reminds me of the year that they had the guy from Jack State transferred over there and was their Friday guy early on. When it was like, where'd this guy come from? Marcus Phillips, I think, is just a stud in the making. Had a great outing the other day. He's a right-hander junior, going to be a big power guy. He'll be something to see. So you're going to see a matchup. It'll be Friday because we're going Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Riley Quick and Marcus Phillips, probably 2 hardest throwing righties in the conference. So that's going to be a show. And then they go with a freshman right-hander on Sunday. At least they did this past weekend. Teagan, I think his last name's Kuhns, Kuhns. He's a right-hander, a freshman from Gettysburg, PA. Got into about the 3rd or 4th inning the other day, and they kind of scrambled, had a little more of a bullpen game. So I don't know much about him, obviously. I don't know if he's kind of set in that slot, if he was, doing a spot start, or if they're trying to work that out. But with them, it's just the bats, man. They just pound the ball, right? I mean, if you guys had a chance to see any of their work this year?
I watched their game yesterday. Quite honestly, I think Florida should have won that game. It really comes. I mean, I know the good folks of Troy will not agree, but Tennessee plays in a Cracker Box Stadium, so it's like I think it'll be interesting them coming in when they got a little bit more park to play in, coming to ours. How that, because that was the difference, was 2 home runs, really truly, between that and a game that Florida should have won.
Yeah. Griff, you seen it? Any thoughts on them?
I mean, they've done what they, I think, are supposed to do. When you're coming off the national title, you're still ranked right there, and whether they'll agree with it or not, they've had a pretty soft opening schedule. Obviously, Florida's Florida, so I'll give them credit where it's due. But I mean, if they were 17-4, I'd have other questions, but they're not. So
sure.
But yeah, to Megan's point, I think getting to a different ballpark hopefully will be something in our favor. but we'll have to see. But I'm feeling optimistic. Obviously, I haven't come off the sweep of A&M, so lots of positive vibes heading into this week. But again, let's get past tomorrow. I mean, if don't want to drop any games, but to Rogers, definitely want to fall into a trap.
That's right. All right, and we'll predict it here in a minute. Let's get into a couple of questions, we got a bunch of questions actually. So, all right, first one tonight is from at Bama Pro Updates, Alabama Pro Updates.
Who is this guy? He keeps blowing up your DMs.
He must want to be on the program one night or something. Any of y'all know him?
He's not real outgoing though. So
kind of weird family. I think it came from. Yeah. So anyway, all right. He asked, besides North Dakota State, who is the best team we've played thus far this season?
Troy.
Yeah. All right. Here's a rundown, and this is out of order. North Dakota State, they took 2 out of 3 at Oral Roberts this weekend. That's a good club. They took 2 out of 3.
Good for them.
Bison took 2 or 3. Troy took 2 out of 3 from Louisiana, ULL. Traditional regional type team. I think we can exclude Bradley. They're 2-13. They've been swept 4 of their 5 series. Presbyterian, who beat us, is 9-12. They won 1 of 3 from Winthrop this weekend. UAB's 14-6, but they did drop 2 out of 3 to Middle Tennessee this weekend. So they're a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde. Tough. That's tough for them, man. If you're gonna make advances, you can't be losing 2 out of 3 there. JSU, who I think will shape up to be a pretty damn good team, won 2 out of 3 from SEMO this weekend and beat Troy last week in a run rule game. ASU's 9-12. 2 out of 3 from Southern this past weekend. Middle Tennessee's 12-7, so not bad. Ohio State, who gave us the toughest game of the year, had us on the roads. They're 5-12. They got their ass kicked 3 times at Indiana this weekend. Coastal Carolina, that might be my pick.
Yeah, that's true.
The Chants. They swept GSU. Again, I didn't write which GSU that is this year. This weekend.
Grambling State University.
Exactly.
I wrote GSU and I didn't think pick the right, abbreviate it out. They did take 2 or 3 from ECU. I know who that is. East Carolina the weekend before, so they're shaping up. We're off to maybe a little slower start. And then North Carolina State, who was just had a really bad weekend in Jacksonville, is now 14-6.
Good.
2 out of 3 from Virginia Tech. So make your call here. Is it the Chants? Is it NC State? Or Troy?
Probably go
I
Troy.
think for employment purposes, I got to go with the Chants.
You got to go say, yeah.
I'm just hoping that everyone keeps playing well. I mean, you just rattle off a bunch of series wins that these guys had. We're up to 11th in the RPI, which is clearly important as our rankings. So just keep playing. I think Troy's going to be good, like you said. I think Jacksonville State's going to turn out to be pretty good, and we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. I'm hoping that Ohio State doesn't. I had that prediction that they're going to look really well come May, and they may come back and bite me, but we'll find out.
Yeah, right.
I will say that Coastal, Jack State, South, and Troy are all in the same conference.
Yeah, a tough conference.
They'll be beating each other. That's a nice conference. I mean, that's
Roger. You said Troy right off the bat. You said
I didn't think of Coastal right then, but Troy's strong. I mean, I'll say them. Keep it in state.
I'd love, we talk about it a lot. I mean, we get Troy midweek all the time. It'd be really fun to get 3 with Troy one weekend with our best and their best, because they got some really good arms on that team. Just sometime down below. All right, we got some others. Drew Champlin, who abandoned us this week to travel the world. I don't know who this is directed at. Do you regret even having discussions about changing the Sunday starter? All right, and to be clear, we were not advocating changing the Sunday starter. We were planning ahead in the hypothetical event that one of our starters, possibly the guy on Sunday, didn't come out of the gate real hot. So do we regret that?
No,
I think we'll be stubborn and not. Drew,
no.
just you're not going to get that out of us. He was here last week. I mean, why didn't he raise it then?
He was the one saying it.
so he's talking to himself.
Yeah. Here's another one. Tyler Wilcox, Johnny MySpace, weekly contributor to the program. 94.4% non-conference win percentage versus 100% win percentage in conference play. Word on the street is our daunting non-conference schedule was much tougher than anything the SEC has to offer. What do y'all say? We just went down that list. What do you think?
I think he's got his tongue in cheek there. So.
All right, here's one. Anthony Pesci's Pesci. Let me say Pesci? Pesci. Yep. C Brizio is Anthony Pesci's bullpen catcher. Does LeBron finish with 75 plus RBI? I think he's what, 40, how many
45,
right now?
45.
45. I'm going to say yes. Any no's?
I'll go with yes.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
yeah.
30 more and
30, and we played 21, 34, 35
games.
games. Yeah. You got some midweek games.
And,
the home runs.
some postseason games. So
yeah. All right. I think consensus, yes. I don't see anybody.
I would say it'd be more of an interesting question if he were to ask us if he'd be over like 24 and a half homers.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Already halfway there, but
yeah. But still, you tend to slow down as you get into conference.
Will he break Kent Mathis's record of 28?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right, here's a good one. Bama Burner, 1892. Any update or timeline on when Staten might return? I think you said he might be like
he's supposed to start throwing and hitting today. Trying to.
Okay.
As much as he can. I saw his finger yesterday, and it's nasty looking.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
But he was like, well, I don't hold the bat there with that anyway. He said he uses these. He always
it's his right.
Maybe that's why he got hit.
Yeah.
And then he said he kind of tossed some this weekend, but not really threw. But but no, his finger's like double the size. And it's just
all right.
It looks like it's painful, but he said it's going to be pain management.
Exactly.
Has his strength back. You know what? But he was cleared to start activities.
Okay. Yeah. Bama Burner, get back to us in that in another week or two, probably. It sounds like. I mean, I mentioned before breaking a finger and having a pin put in. It takes you a minute to get that back. Will Legrone, when we'll get it's the same question. When's his estimated timeline? It's the same on Staten. I may have said I think I had read it right below. Here's a good one. King Zinry, Zynry, expectations for SEC play if Alcott can give us a solid 6-inning pitch every Sunday.
Well, it goes from 15 and 15 to maybe
to like 20 and 10.
18 and 12 or
we'd be a solid hosting contention at
exactly. Yeah.
We're gonna have to 18,
I think so. It's a wild card and I mean you got it Sunday. You got to feel good about it. And again, we talked about last week, we said in about 14 days we would have had 6 games against the 2 last teams playing last year, and we'll kind of know where we stand. I mean, the worst we can do at this point is 3-3. You'll start seeing how you stack up to the absolute best this weekend.
And I will say, last week when I looked at Warren Nolan, which is where we all get the most accurate RPI information from, last week they did have us at 15 and 15, I believe, for predicted wins in the conference. Following this weekend, we now, by their metrics, are now at 18 and 12. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but that's putting
exactly.
We need some solid weekends out of everybody, not just Bobby. I'll
right. You get your first 3. You get your first 3 on the road in the conference. And remember what we said it last year. We were 4-11 in the conference on the road last year. 3-0 is a pretty good jump on that. If when you think about holding serve or doing a little better.
I would say out of the remaining 12, we'll get at least 2. So we'll beat last year's.
That's right. It's easy hurdle to clear. Haas Flowers, who's on here every week, another frequent contributor to the program. I've asked about Hodo's hitting and road woes before, which we've addressed. So I feel compelled to ask, how do we beat Tennessee? Give me if we take 2 out of 3 from Tennessee, what are we talking about on Monday? What happened for us to do that?
LeBron's LeBron.
More outstanding pitching. I mean, I think
which he wasn't this weekend, right? I mean, right. I mean,
right.
you know,
I mean, we swept what's supposed to be a good team on the road with him being hitless in 2 of the 3 games.
And 2, yeah.
And I mean, that says a lot for Cade Snell and Hodo. And I mean, Bull was 5 for 13.
Yeah.
I mean,
he 5 for 13.
He actually smoked like 3 balls that got caught and then bluked a couple of hits in there. So it kind of evened out for him. But yeah, and Torres and Norton start hitting again. And
which is a chore.
I mean, we don't want to try to go 10-9, 12-10 kind of game. I mean, you went through their schedule, but I just looked, their team ERA is like 1.6, 1.7, 1.72.
Yeah.
So
Meghan, who's your kind of, you got to have a pick to click of this weekend. I mean, who's got to make it happen for us to do this?
I mean, I think it has to come down to the bullpen, but I also think batting wise, it needs to be less of that long ball approach that we kind of had this past weekend and more of a pass the bat mentality. Because I think if we can do that, it's probably going to work out a lot better than it being on 1 or 2 guys specifically.
Right. My pick on that, I mean, I think you get a little more, you get more out of Torres. I think you get a little more out of Brennan and I mean, that makes a world of difference. I mean, but Torres had a really rough weekend, right? I mean, but
and Richie as well.
Yeah.
Richie did too.
So I mean, you got to sweep with 4 or 5 guys really having decent weekends and some guys really having it rough. Here was a follow-up on and take this one, Griff, on the Staten thing. The follow-up was also, who would he replace potentially once he's back? What do you see the lineup doing when now you got Torres kind of firm at third, but bat maybe it can be hot or cold. I mean, what you maybe see a platoon between, like you kind of have with the catchers? Do you have something like that?
Possibly. I mean, I think it would be really hard to take Coleman out of that DH spot.
Yeah.
It's his until he proves anyone wrong or otherwise. So that you could definitely try him there. I mean, I've been banging that Torres drum as well. I think he's going to probably have a big weekend. I think Brennan and Richie. I mean, Richie obviously showed off his speed, beating out that throw. I think it was yesterday, right? I mean, he just right down the line.
Just flying. Yeah.
I mean, a couple more hits there, and we could be looking at a 9-2 game and a couple blowouts, and we could definitely use those this weekend. But yeah, a platoon might be the best option. He's not, obviously Torres isn't fielding horribly at third, which is a plus. But if the bat's not there, that change may have to come in for a couple games on the weekend, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Second base might be the most likely.
Yeah.
Spot.
Maybe in a platoon type deal or whatever.
Right. And it could be 3 to 4 different guys. Like Torres go to first, Hodo DH.
Yeah.
Staten go to second, Torres stay at third, Brennan sit, Hodo, so it would, Hodo's going to play.
He's going to play. Yeah. He's in there. Yeah. He's in there. And
Snell's going to play. So, I mean, that, not that was a question. So it becomes Torres, Mizell, Norton, and Staten. 4 for 3 spots, and just, 2 of them can play second, 2 of them can play
third, really.
Yeah, really. So it's but and so Bull's the only one that's DH only.
Yeah.
Right now at this point. So
Sure. I really thought the catcher platoon, but went pretty well. Plattner he swung a good bat both games that he was out there with the 3 lefties going. You got him twice. Maybe you get Neal twice when you got 2 righties. But I thought that was a good development this weekend. Seeing the way Plattner swung the bat, he just stepped up there and iced that ball down the left field line to get that run home early. All right. Last question we had there. So again, we appreciate all our listeners and viewers and getting those into us. As we get into this upcoming weekend, little assessment of the team. And I threw this out there Saturday night, just thinking about, man, we just won this series on the road. We're 19-1, now we're 21. And you look at what Rob Vaughn has done with this team, and just here are a few thoughts I kind of had. Starting pitching could carry this team a long way, and that was before the Bobby Alcock start on Sunday. Bullpen performance has been outstanding. We got so many options. We got a lot of different arms and angles. Just the mistakes ahead in counts. I mentioned then it just seemed to be kind of where we get ourselves in trouble. If you had doubts about the offense, I think you've seen enough to tell you scoring runs isn't going to be a big problem. We're getting different guys most nights. We're built around this superstar, but all the complementary pieces. Look at how many times it's been Hodo. Look at Torres in Birmingham the other night. It's always somebody. It's always somebody else on top of what he does, and so that's a great recipe. And then the mental makeup of the team, and then I think the important part, and I mentioned, is it just feels to me like Rob Vaughn has just transformed this program. All right, at 24 months he's been on the job there, right, or a little less than 20, probably 20 maybe. You think back to 2019, we bring in Nate Oates, this fairly unknown guy, unless you were just a basketball junkie that kind of understood what it meant to win games in Buffalo and get to the tournament. That's what Rob was doing at Maryland, where you in baseball, it's the Big Ten has always been a little bit of a wasteland in baseball, right? I mean, it's not by any fault of the universities. It's just it's cold. Nobody wants to go there and play in the cold weather for that long. And so you look at what he's done there, and you look around the program and you look at how good the social media is. You look at how, everything is upgraded from where it was a couple of years ago. Not a knock on Bohannon. Bohannon brought players in here. He brought dogs in here, right? Just studs in here. And I mean, you see those guys.
Zane Riley and LeBron for three.
Right. I mean, these guys and the guys that are dotting a lot of minor league rosters and that got picked in the draft last year. I mean, he brought in guys. It just never felt like you had quite the same mental makeup like you do with this team until maybe late in 23. After everything went down. But you also kind of felt like his relationships or his, it wasn't like a standoffish type thing with the media and the public in general. He just didn't like that stuff. You could just tell.
They're totally different. And I mean, being around and you've been to all the home games, you can feel it.
Exactly.
In the air. I mean, like something's coming. I mean, it's like, and being around it a lot, you can really tell. I mean, like I can really tell that it's just attitudes and everything is just different.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got his thumb on everything in that program, and you can tell it. The things that we always griped about, was like, why are we? What's the social media is awful. Whatever. Everything is upgraded, and I liked, and we talked about it last time when he was not complaining, but he was saying what people were saying about the team on Twitter or whatever, probably talking about us or talking about anything on Twitter. And it's like, well, that's good. He's got the self-awareness to know this is what his fan base is saying. It's what, it's good. You want that. Right. And it's little things, it's a very, the media ecosphere of ecosystem of college baseball is very, niche-y, right? I mean, all these, you got all these little outlets and everybody's got a little piece of it and everybody's got a little hand in it. It's easy to get your opinions out there, but it's, you gotta work it, right? I mean, you can't just,
and we can't, I mean, obviously Rob's done all that and put the culture together, but the phenomena that is Justin LeBron is just because every national person, like after the game Sunday, I looked down on the field. And of course, the TV had Bobby. They were talking to him. But the national guys I saw there, the D1 and these other places, they had Justin off to the side interviewing him, who had, played a great defensive game, didn't have a hit in the game. I mean, they're like, that's who you're going to talk. It's like going to a Tiny or whoever. I mean, he's like, That's the but it's such a great dynamic though with the teammate. He handles it so well, and the teammates, there's and Rod keeps pounding this fact, like there's no jealousy, there's no like,
right,
because of the kind of kid he is and how he is with his teammates. I mean, he's as hard a worker as anybody there. And he doesn't expect anything or want any kind of special treatment.
No.
So,
and he's definitely been, banging the drum since the beginning, saying, it is a we, not a me culture. And that's like total coach speak, and you can get like drowned out. But I mean, having seen that even from last year's team to this year's team, it is 100% the truth, because Ohio State was a perfect example. The team could have folded, and you just keep playing together, and you just keep you have each other's back.
Good things are going to happen.
It does pay off. So it's a definitely completely different mindset.
For years the program had excuses around, okay, it's tough to do this in Alabama. You got 11.7 scholarships, and you don't have the Hope Scholarship like Georgia. Georgia wasn't worth a damn either.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know why.
And then whatever that Fuller or Fulton that LSU had.
And you didn't have, you had all the out of state tuition waivers that a lot of programs are doing. Everybody's like, why didn't Alabama do that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because we got 25,000 out of state students here. You're not going to like do that to get 15 baseball players.
No shot.
So there are all these things, and where they used to be hurdles or excuses, it's like it's just kind of cut through it, and it's like I'm going to go get I'm getting this guy out of a couple of the junior colleges in Mississippi. I'm going to get a transfer from Jack State. I'm going to get our Sunday guy from Gardner Webb. I mean, we're getting guys from places that people overlooked them, and you damn sure didn't have the kind of NIL budget that the team you just waxed all weekend had, and it's not an excuse, and I think he's building it the right way. It's still like you said, I want it to be a developmental program. Well, it's kind of hard to be a developmental program when you got a handful of freshmen and guys are just coming in, but I mean it does feel like guys are coming in and getting better.
Yeah.
And that they are still, paying attention to the details and developing it. So putting all that out there, because I mean, I don't think people appreciate it quite the way. I mean, you look at Nate Oates in the basketball program, and you can't take a thing away from them. But I mean, and it gets more TV attention, and it's they're on the the national team, and of course going to the Final Four. And it might take going to Omaha for people to get that attention. Even then, you still wouldn't get that same level, just because it's a different sport. But I think I don't think it's hyperbole to say that the hire of Rob Vaughn in Alabama is as important to the athletic program, or to, at least to this aspect of the athletic program, that the hire Nate Oates was in 2019-ish or 20, whatever year that was. I mean, it's and you're starting to see why. And I think this weekend maybe finally kind of bubbled it up to the surface, and maybe more people are gonna start noticing and appreciating it. Anyway, getting that out there, because got it out there late Saturday night, and I just thought it felt like the time to bring it up, because it really, as you get into this weekend, and one of the, I don't know, Roger, biggest aside from a regional or a super, biggest regular season weekend in
a while,
in long time.
Yeah, I can't think of
20 years.
Maybe. I mean, we've had years where we've had good starts and then faded, but there's just the extra hype right now, just with everything. And we'll see. I would say, other than a regional, the regional in 23, it's probably the most, I mean, everybody's always excited when LSU comes, or when it's Auburn,
or Auburn, no matter what Auburn is,
right? No matter if either one of us are doing well, but it's different than any of that. Well, because normally it's like the general fan thinks, oh, number one LSU's coming, number one Tennessee's coming, number one. Oh, there's no chance we're going to win. That kind of thing. I mean, it's like we maybe go see some good baseball, or see a really good team, but not the going like, oh, I'm going to watch Alabama win.
Alabama play,
play well and have a chance to win anyway. So
Yeah. So everybody pump it up. Everybody get out there. Most of the folks listening here are going to be there anyway, or they or already know it, and we're kind of preaching to the choir. I think we'll do our part this week to really try and pump it up and try to get those seats filled. I know we'll have a big student turnout. I mean, obviously they're back from break as of today. And so there should be a huge crowd out there. Hopefully, if they need to overflow them, they'll get them in the seats
And basketball is not going to interfere.
Exactly. Yeah, basketball plays Friday around noon, and
then win that and play Sunday, which we're not playing baseball Sunday, so it's perfect.
Yeah,
perfect in that situation.
All right. So the games this weekend, we go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think we're 6:30.
6:30, 6 and 1.
Yeah, 6:30 on Thursday, 6 on Friday, 1:00 on Saturday. Weather should be good. It's not going to be burning up hot or anything. It's not going to be freezing cold and bitter. All right, we got predicted. Griff, you go first.
Back to me. I'll start it off. The Gump in me says that we'll at home we'll find a way to get 2 or 3. I mean, I think we've got enough to stay competitive all weekend. I think being a sweep, I can leave that to our lovely counterpart in Carolina and let her make that decision if she so chooses. Yeah. I'll say 2 or 3. I mean, there's a lot I've really liked about the Tide, especially at home. I think the Joe's going to be rocking. I think if Zane and Riley and Bobby do what they did this weekend, LeBron's going to get healthy. I'm not worried about him. Yeah. I think the other guys, if they're in a slump, they're going to get out of it. So, yeah, I think we're going to not even really shock the world. I think we're just going to kind of take care of business. That's kind of what this team has done up to this point.
And recall, we took 2 out of 3 up from them at the Joe last year.
That's right. That's right.
Roger, who you got? What you got?
I'm going to say 2 out of 3 for the Tide.
2 of 3. Okay.
I'm not saying which one might go sideways, but it's just a sweep's hard. 2 sweeps in a row is really hard.
Yeah,
exactly.
And a sweep against the number 1 team is extra hard. So
yeah. Interestingly, 4 sweeps in the conference last weekend, and the 4 are playing each other this weekend. I don't know if you noticed that LSU and Texas go at it this weekend in Austin. So they both one swept Mississippi State, one swept Missouri. So all the teams that got sweeps, you got this is the price you pay. Meghan.
I mean, I said it last week. The only one who said it last week. I'm going to say it again. I'm saying 4-0 for the week.
You're saying all right, 4-0 for the week, 3 of 3 on the weekend. All right. Hey.
And I'll go ahead and because our fantastic hosts over at Crimson Crossover, Christian Sykes, just dropped in that he also thinks the Tide will go 3-0 this weekend.
He goes okay. Christian,
I got that on the record for him.
Christian with a sweep for the Tide. I go 2 or 3. The thing I'm really struggling with, like Roger, is I watched the way we pitched, and I watched the guys we bring in for the bullpen, and I wonder, if you say today, okay, 2 out of 3, that means that combination of Alcock and Myers gets beat, or that combination of Adams and Osmer and Heiberger gets beat, and I mean, it's tough to not have confidence that you can go beat damn near anyone the way those guys are pitching, But I'll go 2 or 3 just because, like I said, it's baseball. It just kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, you win 2 or 3, you're a champion or close to it. If you win 2 or 3,
you're a 20-10 team in the conference, and everybody would take that without without argument. Going to be a lot of fun tomorrow night. It'll be a great midweek game. We need a good crowd there to help these guys tomorrow night. Keep their eyes on the prize, and then obviously it'll be off the rails here Thursday through Saturday. Enjoyed it, everybody. Many thanks, Megan Dennis, Griffin Smith, Roger Myers. Thanks to Christian Sykes for staying up with us tonight. Crimson Crossover for hosting us. Catch their podcast they recorded earlier tonight on basketball. They're going to probably talk you into why Alabama's going to make the Final Four again, and they probably got a good point. That they don't have to face Florida or Auburn until the final game of the year, so it's kind of helps your chances out significantly. We will leave you here. We will. I got
back. one more thing. Yeah, another loyal listener, Roger Hoover. He said that he won't join us until he has an own Parliament update.
Okay.
Our crack research team has done the work, and he is currently working at an inside sales position for FW Webb. It's a
Okay.
wholesale distributor in the Northeast. So out of baseball, but he is a active contributing member of society. So Roger, there's your update. And
good to hear for Owen
Pearl
and the Binghamton Binghams, whatever they're
Bingham, I think they're Bearcats, Bobcats, something like that.
Something like that. That was a fun weekend, and it stuck with us ever since. So again, thank you again for joining the weekly show. We will let Campland and Peter Slight take it away, and we will see you next week after the Tide takes 2 or 3 or sweeps Tennessee.
Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew in a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, Tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Well, it's Bama Blitz.